we back? Are we good?
Uh, it, do?
Yep.
Yes.
We're good?
Yeah.
Yay, we're good. Oh my god. I don't know what happened. Okay, so my computer decided to have an aneurysm, and I apologize for that.
It happens.
Yeah, no, like it decided that everything needed to update and restart right now. And I don't know what happened. Like when everything froze up, everything went glitchy or whatnot. So I apologize, folks. I do. I really do. Um, uh,
As you were saying, you were talking about the different parts of the game. Thank you for the sub, Justinius.
Thank you. I appreciate
16
that,
months.
Justinius. I do. I know, right? That's amazing. Um,
Last we left off with our heroes. Too true.
right? When last we left off with our heroes, last time on Dragon Ball Z.
Hey!
But here you go. As I was talking about the dice earlier, because I am completely derailed, friends, so I apologize. Here's how
I
the
can tell you where we were.
here's how the dice work. Its highest is a 6 is a full success, and it counts as a critical success. Right? You gain some additional advantages when you roll sixes. A 4 or a 5 is a partial success. A 1 through 3 is a bad outcome. You don't want a bad outcome. But we were talking about the free play, the nature of the game and how it works,
Yes.
right?
Page 9 was what we were
Yep.
on.
Character scenes, actions, consequences, gather information, choose a target, and choose a plan. Now, this is where we'll have our jobs be um, uh, propositioned to our players, or they'll actively seek them out, depending upon how they go through and do things. This is generally the game's default setting, for the most part, is free play. Once that's done, we'll have it. Once when you have a choose a target and choose a plan, we'll make an engagement roll to determine how they're going to go about doing whatever it is they're going to do, whatever job it is, whether it be an assassination job, whether it be a heist, whether it be a kidnapping, a murder, a political assassination. You never know until you know. But that takes us into the score. The score is actions, consequences, and flashbacks. Now, one cool, unique thing about this game,
Oh,
right, is the flashback system, right? So you get so many flashbacks per score. What this allows you to do is you can't plan for everything, right? So what ends up happening is if your player, say, forgets a tool or forgets or doesn't have, we'll say doesn't have the right kind of lock picks or something along those lines, right? As an example, they utilize the flashback, which allows you to cut back and have a momentary scene where they remembered to pack something or they remembered to reevaluate something, and then you jump back into the action, right? Flashbacks are very cool and very neat, but they're also a safety net for the players. But they're not unlimited. You can't just flash back and all the live long day to make sure that you have everything. So you have to be smart. You have to be very smart about when flashbacks happen. Now, in this game, things like actual damage happens, right? Actual damage happens. Break an arm, lose a leg, right? Get a concussion, all that stuff, right? So that is where downtime activities happen. Now, during downtime activities, say you have completed or have not completed your task, depending upon the circumstances and outcomes, you can
hopefully,
have
yeah.
heat, right? What's heat? Well, the authorities and other factions know what you've done and they're on the look for you. So you've got to go on the lam. You've got to lay low. You've got to have a low profile. Hope you don't get caught. Maybe you accidentally killed someone who you weren't supposed to kill, and now you have entanglements that you have to do. Or perhaps you got caught to a degree, and so you have to pay off some authorities to make them look the other way. During downtime activities is also when things like leveling up, advancing player abilities, stuff like that, that's when that stuff will really start to come into play. Also, healing. Healing is also done during downtime. Downtime is also a prime opportunity for you to pursue individual ventures for your players. Though you're not really meant to really kind of utilize downtime to really do a whole lot of action-y stuff unless absolutely necessary. But that's the purpose of downtime, is it feeds that kind of rest and recovery from the job. And then it feeds right back over into free play, which is your normal state of being. Now, it is one of the coolest dynamics that I have ever seen when it comes to how play works and how things work. When it comes to how to set up your game. Because almost as the game master, there is your overriding plots that you can do, right? But we'll say, session-to-session adventuring, for lack of a better term, the players really kind of drive. You just present options, and they pick one and go, and then we just see what happens. It's great. It's wonderful.
It's so good.
It's so good. But while we still have here, one of the things... So, the game is built off of 3 core things. Your insight, your prowess, and your resolve, right?
Love this.
These are your stats, right? This is your stats. This is what they look like, right? And each one of them has a particular flavor, ability, what have you, that will allow you to do abilities, right? Now, some of you who have been, we'll say, around the block with a few games will notice that some of this stuff looks kind of familiar. Well, there's a reason it looks kind of familiar, because the engine that it's using is caught on like wildfire. And you'll see other very large names that have recently developed mystery-based games using systems similar and character sheets similar. They are legally different, but they are, it has that same kind of less is more kind of vibe when it comes to them. But... there we go. Stress and trauma. Because that's what we're all here for, right?
Stress we love trauma. It.
We're just gonna leave it at that. It's a factor in the game.
That's it? That's all you're gonna say about it?
Yep.
Wow.
This is probably stress and trauma. Alright, this is hands down probably one of the coolest little functions of the game, in my opinion, and that's the progress clock. Right?
Oh, those are really cool.
So, a progress clock is a circle divided into segments, and you basically draw the clock. Generally, the more the complex the problem, the more segments in the progress clock. And this is your timer for things. This is kind of cool. No longer do you get to spend hours deliberating on whether or not you go in the left door or the right door. Right?
My favorite deliberations.
I know, right? It's always the left door or the right door that player groups seem to sit there forever trying to figure out. I can recall
in TOA's temple.
Are we going to go left or are we going to go right? Why don't we just go home? No, we've got to go left or we've got to go right. So the progress clock is a way of keeping track of that, and it drives your players. Does this mean that your players don't have adequate time to really make an informed decision? No, it does not. But what it does do is it lets them know the clock is ticking. Time is of the essence, right? What?
Door liberations.
Yeah.
Was said by Kai Hawkeye.
Yeah, that's a thing.
I liked it. I liked it.
I like it.
I can dig it.
But that's, one of the cool things about it, right? And it does, and it lets everybody know what is going on and how much time that they really kind of have. But we've got the most important thing that we have to talk about. The thing that everybody wants to know about.
Vices?
No.
Which we do get. We all have individual vices.
You do.
That's how we relieve stress.
That is how you relieve stress, and I have Thomas, Rachel, and Cameron. So, folks, I let y'all just take stabs at what they probably are going to take for vices.
Bro, your guess is in the comments, folks.
Big time. So one of the big things that is interesting about this and your group is your lair. As you play the game and you progress, one of the cool mechanics of the game is that as your reputation grows and the more successful you are, your influence grows, right? And you can follow certain little tracks, right? That allow your layer to grow, your turf grows, the amenities that your area has grows,
So cool.
right? So for those of you who are familiar with games like Vaesen, as an example, right? Your mansion grows in Vaesen, and it gets little additions added to it that can add in-game bonuses, right? Same thing applies um, in Blades in the Dark, right? The only downside is an enemy faction can push into your turf and take it from you. So sometimes you have to be able to push back, and that's a drive, and that's a whole thing that you are able to really kind of explore and look at. It
Something
allows
that I
you.
find really cool about the upgrading your
Mhm.
layer is that you have to follow, it's like a skill tree of like you
It
have to
is.
follow the specific lines. You get
Mm-hmm.
to choose which ones you want to go down, but there are some you can't have access to unless you go a certain way, and that's just neat. And that's all. Continue.
Oh yeah, no, it is cool because it allows you as a group to make as your player group to make what is the big thing that we want. Oh, well, we know that we want to have lookouts. Okay, well, to get that, we've got to get a bigger turf and then go up to lookouts, and then that'll give us informants. And the informant rule means that we don't have to go find jobs anymore. Jobs come to us,
Which is so nice.
which is way easier and allows you to build your reputation a lot faster, right? Which is a cool thing. Now, which is amazing for me. Um, but here we go. Here it is.
What we've all been waiting for.
What we've all been waiting for. Characters. Who are you
Yes.
and what can you play? Who is your daddy and what does he do?
What
Right?
does he do?
And what does he do? Um, so
I
there
will say
is.
these classes are so cool. I love the way that they are set up. I like that they can give you they have like recommendations for starting builds within the PDF.
Mm-hmm.
You get to have friends and rivals and all of the different types of special abilities, of which you can only choose one, which is so unfortunate, but you can get more later down the line with experience. And it's just, I love it. I love it so much.
Hang on. I'm making sure that this doesn't fail. Hang on, give me a second.
Oh,
It's
I have faith.
It's wanting to be messy.
You got this.
Don't do it.
You can do it.
Stop. All right, there we go. Okay, I fixed it. Ha! Not today. All right.
Not today.
So, let's talk about our characters. Let's talk. Which character, Rachel, should we look at first?
I was gonna go in order.
Okay. All right.
Let's start with Cutter.
So here are your base characters. Now, the big thing important to know if you decide that this game looks like something that's going to be really fun for you or something you really want to explore, on the Blades in the Dark website, right, there is a whole list of additional material and additional playbooks to choose from, right? All the way up to including vampire hunters and ghost hunters to
So cool.
like these Judge Dredd type characters that you can play that are for the cities. They are the law kind of stuff, right? Like it's neat. This game has expanded since it came out and it has just been very cool. So you may see some of that stuff, but sticking to the core book first and foremost. The Cutter. Cutters are good at winning fights with violence and with intimidation. Play a Cutter if you want to get your own way. Hounds. Hounds are good at range. Hounds are our marksmen. They are our rifle. They are our snipers. They are the I wouldn't quite go agent. They're not quite our Agent 47, but pretty close to it when it comes to guns.
Yeah.
The Leech, my personal favorite one, that is our alchemist. That is our explosives expert, our poison master. our plague doctor walking around doling out gaseous fumes to choke our victims to death. The Lurk. Lurk is our spy. I hands down. Lurkin, lurkin, lurkin.
Lurking,
Exclamation
lurking,
point,
lurking.
lurk. Lurks are good at sneaking
Spies,
around and breaking
thieves.
into places. They're going to be the ones who get you information. The, the slide. Well, that's your face, right? That's your talkie. That's your let's
Yeah.
make a deal, right? Kind of guys, right? And they're cool. The slide is actually so. One of the things was is I was trolling around Reddit because that's what I do. And I asked, what's a good place to put a slide in, right? And the best version of a slide that somebody recommended was playing like a femme fatale, playing an assassin who uses, the bedroom as their preferred area of engagement, right? And
That's
slides are really
fun.
good at that because slides have, we'll get into it, but they have ways of manipulating people through social interaction to get what they want, to get them to lower their guard, to make them trust them more,
Get
stuff like
that
that.
good subterfuge.
Oh, that all that good subterfuge. I think that they're probably one of the cooler ones. Now, the spider, right?
Spiders.
Yeah, don't say it too many times. Amanda doesn't like that. But, um, uh, yeah, sorry. But this person, this is our mastermind. This is our team leader, for lack of a better term. They have I don't want to say that they're the leader. I should correct myself. They're not default the leader. What they are really good at though is they're really
Have
good at the planning stage. They
yes.
know how to think of things. They have bonuses that allow them to give the rest of the team advantages by coming up with good ideas. So they're kind of neat. We'll get into them more later.
Yeah,
And
you got a
then,
whole
last
web
but
of
not least,
information.
the Whisperer.
The magic stuff.
The Whisperer. Um, uh, they are. That is it. Just it. They are the magical stuff. They do all the magic things. And most importantly, they're great at dealing with ghosts,
Which is good and an
which is
important part of
ghosts.
this game.
It is a very important part of the game. This game, ghosts are very, very important, right? So, like, people can be taken care of. That's one thing to clarify, right? People can be taken care of. They can be buried. They can be interred. They can do all that stuff. And there's um, special rituals and practices that have to be done to keep people from turning into ghosts, right? But one thing to note is that if people aren't taken care of, right, they like Rachel pointed out, in 3 days they'll become a ghost, and that's bad. So while this is a game of espionage, or not espionage, but this is a game of assassins and scoundrels and things along those lines, right? Killing people is important in this game, but it also comes at an additional consequence of the supernatural kind if not handled properly. So you don't just wantonly kill a random person in an alleyway. It always has to have a purpose. Because if that person isn't found in 3 days, you could have just made more of a headache for yourself than you realize. So it's kind of neat. It's kind of neat how that works. But everybody's character is breaking down into a playbook, and Rachel's gonna walk us through the playbooks because I've talked a lot.
Fair. Starting with Cutter, because we can just go down the line. As I mentioned, they give recommendations for starting builds because you get your 3 points into starting actions as a class. For Cutter, it is 2 into skirmish and 1 into command. Skirmish is fighting people, hand to hand combat. Command is being able to intimidate. So some of the starting builds that they have recommended is the captain, which you could put an additional point into command, an additional point into study, which is able to survey a situation and figuring out if things are the right time or the bad time. And then survey, which is just generalized. I suppose study would be kind of like investigation, as survey would be kind of like perception, would be how I distinguish the two in other game lingo. Um, and there's tons of others that you can read. 3 others. I don't know if that counts as tons, but it's great. And another very fun thing: each character gets a rival and a friend, and you get to choose out of a list of 5. And they are all very. They change from playbook to playbook, and they all have different pros and cons and different backstories associated with them, and you can come up with your own, and it's very cool. But to the bread and butter, which is the special abilities that each class can get.
Yeah.
It is often recommended within playbooks that you choose the first one, as that's I think is how it was worded, was the most like the class, most specific to it. For the cutter, it is Battleborn, which says you expend your special armor to reduce harm from an attack in combat or to push yourself during a fight. And special armor, I believe, is something that you can take as an item, because there's a whole system with items in this, because you don't, I believe, take in items to begin with. It is, you are in the game, and you will decide what items you have on you as you play, until all of the item slots are taken up. So, very interesting stuff. There are so many special abilities. I believe there are 7 per class, so it would take forever for me to go through all of them. But each class also gets specific items. For the cutters, they have access to a fine hand weapon, a fine heavy weapon, a scary weapon or tool, which I just love that, manacles and chain, and then a rage essence vial.
I'm sitting here going, scary weapon or tool. What?
Yep.
All right, Rachel, what's your scary weapon? What's your scary weapon or tool?
What's my, like, personally my scary weapon or tool?
You're making a cutter, right? So what if you're playing a cutter, what's your scary weapon or tool?
A baseball bat of teeth. There's just teeth.
Baseball bat with teeth.
Yeah, you just take teeth from all of your victims and just stick them in by the root. I'd be intimidated. I'd be scared if I saw someone walking towards me with a baseball bat that had a bunch of teeth on
them. That was most definitely not the direction I thought you were going to go. I am pleasantly surprised. I'm a bit horrified. But I'm here for it. I am a baseball bat.
I'm sorry, Myth and Jest. They said, "Oh dear God."
A baseball bat of teeth.
I'll reverse the question. What were you thinking? What would be your item?
I mean, nothing is going to compare to that. Like, I mean, I don't know if I'm trying to top it or what, but wow. No, my scary weapon or tool, so I'm a big fan of, like, simply mundane things, everyday things, right? Being used, right? So part of me thinks that it would be like a tack hammer. Just a bloody, gory covered tack hammer. Right? Or like a what are they called?
Just a weapon you purposefully keep dirty with just the blood soaked of your enemies.
The little hand rake, the little 3-pronged rake from like the gardening center, right?
Yeah.
Not the big one, not the full big one, but the little one with your hand, right? Just one of those things.
I don't like that.
It gets in you and just digs down rakes down. You know, but I mean, baseball bat of teeth, just holy God. Oh, Lord.
I'm totally healthy and sane.
Yeah, 100%. Now we're going on to
the Hound.
The Hound. The Hound is an interesting one. Rachel, let's talk about the Hound.
So, the Hound, as was stated previously, their whole purpose is to track and shoot. They are, how I would describe them, is kind of the Rangers if I
Mm-hmm.
were to use D&D terms.
Yeah.
They do get access to an animal if they so choose to have one,
Mm-hmm.
due to their special ability. Uh, but they start off with 2 points into hunt and 1 point into survey.
Mm-hmm.
Hunt is used for tracking people down, and survey, as I had said, is more for like observing a situation, the perception type stuff. Um, you can be a bounty hunter type of sort. You can be a Deathlands Ranger, which is the area outside of the Electric
Yeah.
Dome. You can be a sniper, or you can be a veteran. You got a lot of options. Their specific special ability is sharpshooter, which
Yeah.
says that you can push yourself to do one of the following things: make a ranged attack at extreme distance beyond what is normal for the weapon, or
Mm-hmm.
unleash a barrage of rapid fire to suppress the enemy,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Um,
Oh my goodness.
my thing that I love is this one right here. Tough as nails. On the
Oh.
second page for that, you can ignore harm. Like you can just, I'm hurt. No, I'm not.
No, I'm not. No,
You're
thanks.
hit, man. You're bleeding. I ain't got time to bleed.
No.
Their items.
Something else is really cool is Survivor, which is from Hard Won Experience or Occult Ritual. You are immune to the poisonous miasmas of the Deathlands and are able to subsist on the strange flora and fauna there. You get 1 extra stress box,
Yep.
which is incredible because typically it caps at 9 for like every other character.
Yep.
And stress is your life. That is
Yes,
your
it
life
is.
force.
It is.
And if you cap that out, you get a trauma and things are bad.
So
don't want those.
I appreciate their items, specifically the fact that
Yes.
it can get ectoplasmic ammunition. What'd you
How
do?
sick is that?
What'd you do? Well, I captured me a ghost and I broke him down and turned him into bullets. You what now? Yep, that's exactly what I did.
You heard me?
Right?
Thank you for the sub, Roger.
Thank you.
Roger.
Next is the leech. How I do love the leech.
Oh, then please
yes,
do.
Yes, I do love the leech. A world built on industry and the underworld is no different. Leeches are scoundrels who distill drugs, refine arcane essences, build the bombs, bandage the wounds, and forge the tools of the criminal trade. And know how to make things also means knowing how to break them. So the leech to me is awesome. Like, so how I picture the leech, right? Okay. For what it's worth, how I picture the leech is the was it the concierge? Is that no, not the concierge. The person who's in charge of wine vintages. What's that person called?
Connoisseurs? I know there's a specific word for like the people that can
They're the people who
taste
like.
it.
Well, no, like
So,
they're the people.
yes, as in the so how do you pronounce that? Sommeliers? Sommelier.
Sommelier. Anyway, that dude, right? From, you guessed it, John Wick, right? The whole like, I need something robust, full of flavor, right? Yes. Allow me the M4. You know, like just right, like that's how I picture the leech kind of going about, right? He's like, I'm not actually going to do any of it, but I'm going to give you all the tools for you to go do it. You know, so like, I love it. The doctor, the sapper, the viper, and the witch. I love that the witch falls under leech. They have some very cool abilities and some very interesting things that come with them. Here we go. Some of their stuff that they have, like this one. Psysicker, I think is what I was supposed to be saying. You can tinker with bones, blood, and bodily humors to treat wounds or stabilize the dying. You have the study. You can study a malign or corpse. Everyone in your crew, including you, gets plus 1d to their healing treatment rolls. So instead of having to make like a doctor roll or anything like that,
So cool.
I treat it as tinkering. I treat it as a like, let's just tinker around with your busted femur and see what happens. Right? We'll get it. Fixed.
It'll be fine. It'll work.
And then this is the one that I also like too, is the analysis that they get, right? During downtime, you get 2 ticks to distribute among any long-term project clocks that involve investigation or learning new formula design. So you can really spend your downtime to learn new things. I always thought that was so cool. This right here, blowgun.
Yeah.
I mean, right? Bandolier.
Enough said.
Look at this. Bandolier. I can have blinding oil, drift oil, drown powder, eye blind poison, fire oil, grenade, quicksilver, skull fire. Like, I'm just like, what do you got? All of it. I brought the whole cabinet. We're good. Ooh. Right?
That's a lot.
The lurk.
The lurk.
We see you all. We see you lurkers. We see all you lurkers.
Thieves.
Hanging out. Remaining
sometimes
anonymous.
Sometimes an assassin?
Yeah, sure. Sometimes.
You know, in a world that's plunged into eternal night, you gotta have those that live in the darkness, baby.
Exactly, right?
And that's what they do. We got Finesse, which is, I think this is one of our first, that's not one of our first, because the cutter did it. JK, ignore what I was just saying. Finesse is used for dexterous manipulation and subtle misdirection, is like picking people's pockets or driving a car or vehicle. I don't know if there are cars in this world. They didn't say that specifically.
There are trains.
There are trains. That's true. You could drive a train. You can duel an opponent with graceful fighting. Chaotic melee is more so skirmishing, but sometimes you can be just nice with your finesse, you know, finesse.
For sure.
And then you get prowl, which is the skill to traverse quietly, sneaking past guards, leaping and running off of rooftops, attacking someone from hiding, or backstabbing, you know, all that fun stuff.
Backstabbing?
They're the rogues.
I mean, they are the rogues. They really are the rogues. But they have some interesting aspects to them. Like, some of them, like, the Devil's Footsteps. This is such a neat ability.
It sounds
You can push yourself to do one of the following. Perform a feat of athletics that verges on the superhuman. Maneuver to confuse your enemies so that they mistakenly attack each other. Right? If that isn't just some total, like, no, I don't think I'm gonna deal with that. I'm gonna go ahead and dance around them and make them fight each other. That is I love it.
My personal favorite is Ghost Veil, which allows you to partially shift into the ghost field. You become shadowy and insubstantial for a few moments. You take 2 stress when you shift, plus 1 stress for each extra feature that you have on top of that, which could be it lasts for a few minutes rather than a few moments. You are invisible rather than shadowy, and you may float through the air like a ghost. So if you took 5 stress, you could do all of those things at once.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of stress because you have 9 unless you're a hound. But that can save your life.
The part that really gets me is one of the lurk items.
Oh.
Dark sight goggles. It allows you to see in total darkness as if it was lit, like a lit area. That is nuts to me. In a game where, like, darkness is everywhere, that's so cool.
They live in the dark. They love it.
Next up, we have the Slide, the Subtle Manipulator, or the Spy. The Siren, the Prestige, the Grifter, or the Spy. Let's see here. It is said that the primal substance of the world is not mere matter or strange plasmas. It's lies. Everything we do, everything we care about, everything we value, all lies. We tell each other and ourselves the world is a fabrication, a convenient fiction, a story, and the storytellers are slides. This is 100% all about deception and manipulation.
Oh, yeah.
This is your talker. This is your bard gone total badass. This
Mm-hmm.
is all of those things. They have
You get
consort and sway as
yes.
as two of their starting actions.
And
Both
these are important to differentiate
yes.
because consort is you're socializing with your friends and contacts and trying to get resources, information, people, places, all that fun stuff, as opposed to sway, which is the influence you have with your guile, your charm, or
Mm-hmm.
trying to win within an argument. Lying, persuading,
Oh yes.
very important.
So special abilities, ghost voice. We're always looking at the supernatural shit because that's the stuff that's always like
It's so
it's so
cool.
good, right? You know the secret method to interact with a ghost or demon as if they were a normal human. Regardless of how wild or feral it appears, you gain potency when communicating with the supernatural. Not only can you see dead people, you can talk to them, right? Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
My favorite is mesmerism. For when you sway someone, you can cause them to just forget that it happened until they next interact with you.
Mm-hmm. I'm about
Don't worry about it. They won't remember anything until you talk next time, and then you can just do it again.
I know, right?
That's
I'm
crazy.
I'm here for it. I am 100% here for it.
So good.
Let's see here.
They also get, of course, fine clothes and jewelry, which is the most important item.
Of course.
Of course. Loaded dice, trick cards, a cane sword.
I was gonna say cane sword. Hello. I mean cane sword.
Pretty good.
Cane sword's
and
pretty
then, of
awesome.
course, trance powder.
I mean, that's important.
Enough said.
Enough said.
The next one, Amanda, close your eyes, cover your ears.
The devious mastermind.
Yes.
These are this is probably one of the coolest classes I've ever seen
really neat.
in a game. It really does. It is a class for the planner in your group, and that is the part that I love because we all have them. We always have that one player who wants to do everything in their power to be able to plan out what they're doing, what's next, what happens, right? They want to what if it to death, and finally they get to what if it to death with mechanics. And it can be beneficial. And that's the part that's really kind of neat about them.
It's really, really nice. Because we've all been there where we plan something and then it just goes absolutely not to plan.
Exactly.
And so you can plan things with mechanical benefits.
And the next part that I love about them is these people specifically, deal in special currency. They deal in favors. They deal in vendettas. They deal in secrets. And because they know these things, it gives them a degree of protection, almost. Right? Because they know things and they know people. And the worst thing that can come out of this particular character's mouth is "you owe me." I love it.
Music to their ears.
I love it. You owe me. So connected. That's one of the things that I really like too. Is connected. During downtime, you get a +1 result level when you acquire an asset or reduce heat. That is so good. That is so good because heat. So we keep talking about this kind of stuff, right? So, when you acquire an asset, it's something else that you can use for the next job to help you in the next job, right? And heat determines how difficult the next job will be. So when you go into your next job or the next assignment, right, you want your heat relatively low and you want to try have as many assets as you can to call upon to make the job go easier, right? But sometimes it's a give-take kind of thing, right? So it's really neat that they have the ability specifically to, wow, that last job didn't go super well, and we got a lot of heat on it. Well, during the downtime, you can just start ticking that heat down, which is really, really cool.
My favorite, there's two of them.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Ghost Contract because that's just so cool. When you either shake on a deal or draft one in writing, you and the partner, human or otherwise,
Yep.
could be a ghost, could be a demon, you both bear a mark of your oath. If either breaks the contract, they take a level 3 harm and are deemed cursed. Which is sick! Oh, that's neat. And then weaving the web. You gain +1 dice to consort when you gather information from a target for a score, and you also get +1 to the engagement roll for that operation. They're the planners, and it works.
I love that one of their items is quite literally a fine bottle of whiskey.
Oh, of course. What's not drafting a contract over a good drink?
I mean, touche. Touche.
And a fine cover identity.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
All right. Now we're gonna talk.
Concealed palm pistol. They're cool. Anyways.
We're gonna talk about. The
whisper.
The whisper. How about you have been poring over this particular class here recently? So, you know what? Tell us about the whisperer. Tell us about the whisperer, Rachel.
They are, gosh, so. Magic. It's real. It's a thing. And they possess it. They get, I think they are the only class that gets 2 into attune, which is the ability to harness the arcane power. Whether that is communicating with a ghost or trying to perceive what is beyond sight, to understand a situation. It is wild the things that they can do. You can be a summoner or a cultist or the channeler or the dark scholar. And the first one of the special abilities that Whisper gets is they can attune to the ghost field to force a nearby ghost to appear before them and obey an order that is given. You're not, the person is not supernaturally terrified by a ghost they summon or attempt to compel, though allies might be. Which is just wild. You can just get a ghost to do what you want. Just casually. They also have an ability to, as we know, consort is talking to friends and allies. If they take the occultist, they're able to consort with ancient powers or forgotten gods or even demons. And once you've consorted with them, you get a +1 dice to command cultists who worship it.
Right?
You can become a cult leader. It's fine.
You can become a cult
fine.
leader. You can become a cult leader. That is like, what'd you do in Blades of the Dark? Casually just started a cult. Oh,
I'm leading a cult.
You did what?
Yeah.
I mean, Bleak. It's 100%. It's your class right there. We're just gonna go start a cult.
So good.
Bruingal, thank you so much for that tier 1 sub. 15 months.
You guys keep subbing and resubbing, and it just makes my heart so full. Thank you guys.
We appreciate it so much. Let me get my head back in camera.
There is also Tempest, which is similar to some of the others, except you can push yourself to do one of the following.
Yep.
For the Whisper, it is you can unleash a stroke of lightning as a weapon, summon a storm to your immediate vicinity, which would entail torrential rain or roaring winds or heavy fog or chilling frost and snow. That's bonkers. And then of course you can ward, which is very helpful.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to take stress. You don't want to do that.
You're right.
And some of the items that they get, which just makes a lot of sense. A fine lightning hook.
Ghost key.
Ghost key. You can open ghost doors.
Ghost doors. Right? So the knowledge that there are ghost doors means that there are ghost houses.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here for that. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be very good.
It's gonna be so great.
But those are the classes that one can take. But there are also crew types. Now I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them. But I'm sure we can show them
we're gonna
the
hit
little
some
page.
of them. We're gonna hit some of them.
Okay, there are assassins, which are the kills for hire, of course. There are the bravos, which I associated more as those that extort and get through personable means what they want. There are the cultists, which are the acolytes of the Forgotten Gods.
Yep.
There are the hawkers, which they deal with in the vices that everyone here has, because life sucks and sometimes you need something that makes you feel better. Whether that is drugs or luxury or pleasure. Anyways, there are also shadows.
Why'd you shy away from
there are
that?
thieves and there are spies. And then, of course, the beloved smugglers.
Always the smugglers.
Always the smugglers. You get to get the contraband transported. You get to... I'm getting a phone call.
She is.
You don't get to have a phone call.
So what this means is why does this stuff matter for this game? The crew creation, right? Because your crew creation, right? What's going to happen with that is that it'll help determine what your layer, right? It helps develop the tree for that stuff, right? So like an assassin, right, is going to need fixers. They're going to need turf and they're going to need informants, right? A big thing, right? So it'll helps you go through and helps map out what kind of bonuses you're going to get in the end, right? So let's see here. Let's go to a fairly safe one, right? We'll go down here to the smugglers, right? So smugglers as a whole would get upgrades, right? For just being smugglers, right? They can get smuggler rigging, camouflage, elite rovers. They can get a barge, right? Stuff like that, right? But stuff that they can get, right? They can get a luxury fence. They can get a fleet of ships, right?
A whole fleet.
A whole fleet, right? And it allows them to do different things. As you can see here, they have different stuff. Your cohorts have their own vehicles, right? So they have their own way of transportation, their own method of transportation. You can get access to taverns and stuff like that, where you can fence things, where you can do stuff, right? There's all kinds of stuff that these can benefit your players as a whole. There's a lot that goes into this. Now, this is one of those things where man, I wish we had more time. I really do wish we had more time.
Yeah, but there's so much to this world.
We wanted to give you a taste of this. We wanted to give you a taste of this to let you know and see kind of what's a little bit in the chute, what's a little bit in the pipe.
Get you excited. Get you ready.
But more importantly, we don't want LMA to turn into basically a big review show. That's not it.
Yeah.
When we're talking about games on here, we're talking about games on here because it is stuff that is in the pipe or in the works for upcoming things, especially if it's a new game that isn't D&D or CNC related. But that being said, friends, what do we have? What do we have for next week's LMA? What do we have?
Oh, I can pull it up. I'm pretty sure.
So we can, because here's the thing. What helps us the most is questions from y'all, right? So I'm hoping that if I say what next week's LMA is supposed to be, you guys might throw us a few questions in the old Discord to help drive some of these LMAs, get a little more participation, so to speak. What do we got for next week, Ms. Rachel?
So we have one thing that we're hoping will end up working out and panning out, which is us talking about Dragonlance with a special guest.
Yes, next week.
And if we are unable to get that guest, then we have a different backup, just in case.
Just in case. Well, I mean, we may talk about Dragonlance regardless, depending. If we get that guy, though, then...
If we get that guy,
it's that much better. But if we don't get that guy, then, I mean, it'll just be us talking about it ad nauseum, and I pity you.
We appreciate you being here.
We appreciate you being here. I would 100%.
Thank you for the resub, Bubba Kid.
All right, friends.
Just in time.
That super special. I mean, he's a pretty special guy to me.
He's so special.
He's a pretty special guy to me. Yeah, I'd say that. I mean, he's a special guy. Sure is.
Special.
But that being said, friends, thank you all once again and for hanging out with us tonight, for talking about Blades in the Dark, for looking at it, seeing what's going on, and everything like that. And it is a time-honored tradition, and Rachel does it far better than me. While I find someone for us to raid into, Rachel, why don't you ask him that burning question?
God, I've been dying to ask you guys. If you're watching and you haven't followed, just hit that little heart. It's no biggie. Just a little heart to show that you love us. And if you're a follower who hasn't subscribed, it's free with Amazon Prime. You've seen all of these lovely folks in the chat over the course of this hour and a half do so. It's really cool. Maybe you should check it out. It's free. You can do it. Or if you're a sub and your sub is expired.
No.
Thank you, Kurt. We have one question for you.
What are you doing? Give us a follow. Give us a sub. Hit that follow button. We appreciate all the support that you guys have given us so far and your continued support.
You guys are so sweet.
And everything will be coming back to normal here soon. Next Tuesday, we will be launching Greyhawk and the next generation, and I am so pumped for it. So stick with us for next Tuesday with the launch of Greyhawk. Same bat time, same bat channel. We are going to be raiding into Anna B. Meyer. For those of you who don't know who Anna B. Meyer is, she is an amazing map maker.
What are you doing if you don't know who Anna B. Meyer is?
She has made so many maps. She has literally outlined and created the map of Greyhawk for so many, many, many people.
So many.
It's great and it's wonderful, friends. So stick around, get your raids, get your raid icons ready, load them up, get ready because we're gonna raid into her, and stick around and hear her talk about all things Greyhawk while she makes maps. It's gonna be
give
wonderful,
her your
friends.
love.
We will see you all here on Tuesday. So, we'll see you, friends.
Bye.
Bye.
I love Blades in the Dark. I could talk about it for hours. It did.
Okay.
I thank you for stopping me when you did, because I would have just kept going.
I know.
I would have just kept on trucking.
All right, we're rated in, yeah.
Yeah. Did you end the stream?
No, dude.